Okay, we have an extremely unique new seasonal affix. Seems official. I mean, it's usually one of the last things they announce. I don't suppose it's gonna be changed at this point, but it's very interesting. It's kind of a mix of lot of what we saw in the past. A little bit more similar to season 4 of Shadowlands minus all the skipping. So let's talk about it. If you haven't seen this post, I would definitely check it out. But long story short, there is apparently always 4 new lieutenants in the dungeon, just like we've seen in past affixes. They're always there. They don't need to be summoned. They're just standing there. And we have the ability to kill them. Okay, when you kill them, they give you anima powers, which I think is really neat. It's like a nice little flavor thing, but it's a little bit more specific than just that. And if you don't kill them, they buff the final boss. So just like in season 4 of BFA, you could choose not to kill them. Maybe people will do this. Frankly, I think it's probably a lot harder because they don't just stand there and fight you on the final boss. They also buff the final boss. I don't actually know if they're present on the final boss. I assume they are not. But yeah, regardless, it's going to buff the final boss. And typically, the last boss of a lot of Shadowlands dungeons are not ones you want buffed. Imagine Necrotic Wake with any of these. So let's take a look real quick what they have to say. First of all, yeah, they do not reset health on wipe, which is a really nice thing they've been doing recently. They do not give count, and they also have true sight. So from a very brief look at this affix, they're in ways, in places that you are going to be very hard pressed to skip them. So it's going to be interesting to see how people do try to skip them in the future, but I've only looked at a few dungeons. But yeah, so each one has an aura that is also present when you fight it, and all 4 of these would be present on the last boss if you skipped all 4 of them. So I have some footage here of me fighting all 4 of them. I went into Plaguefall, and since it's such a wide open dungeon, I was actually able to like legitimately solo all 4 of them. So we're going to take a look at that today, and we'll see what we have here. But this is the Executioner Varuth. Okay, he's going to do a few things. The main thing he does is make me heal for 50% less, so that is very bad. Obviously, as a blood DK, you don't want to see that. But he's also going to do this Decapitate, and he's also going to do, which is just a big damage thing to the boss, or to the tank that is, and it leaves a bleed as well, which I'm going to get hit really hard on. And then he does this physical damage, AoE. It deals high, it's called Raised, deals high physical damage to the target and nearby targets, leaving a short bleed effect for every target hit. So if everybody's stacked up on that, then everybody's going to take a lot of damage. But this one definitely, Wowhead agrees, seems to be the hardest one. It's the only one I actually had any trouble soloing. Took me 2 tries. Luckily, the health does reset. And I actually die a second time here, but I have this trinket on, so you'll get to see that too. But actually, I have this unwind trinket, and I'm able to just pop back up and finish them. But then we are going to get a slew of Anima Powers. A couple things immediately. These are apparently not random, and they are based on your roll. So every time we fight Executioner Varuth, I'm going to get these 3. Let's take a look at them right now. We have the Stygian King's Barbs. When enemies strike you in melee combat, shadow barbs lash out for you and inflict 7% of your current health in shadow damage to them. We have Champion's Brand. When above 70% health, your haste or crit strike is increased by 8%. Your highest stat is always chosen. And we have Siege Breaker's Stand. Standing still increases your damage by 5% every 1 second, up to 15%. So it's quite interesting. A slew of them. The middle one I don't like at all. I don't feel like that's useful to me, especially as a blood DK. I'm not sure I'll ever take that. And I don't know what's with the why the icons are so big. It's something that's been happening in Torghast for me too as well. But anyway, the Stygian King's Barbs is the choice. This is an incredibly good option, and you will see we're actually going to take it here, and you'll see the damage when we fight this pack. So let's fight this pack real quick. I just pull like a ton of slimes, and I will show the damage breakdown at the end here because it is funny to see. So this is an Anima Power. This is an affix, and it is doing 27% of my affix, 27% of my damage. That is a single one, okay? A single one just buffed me by 27% of my damage. Now, obviously, that's an incredibly big pack. I'm a blood DK, so I have way more health than most tanks, and it probably scales with Vamp Blood. So it might be an outlier. Keep that in mind. But that is enormous, and that is just a single one. So honestly, I don't think anybody's going to ever skip these. I don't know why anybody would, because if this is even remotely commensurate to what you will see from other rolls, I can't even imagine it. Okay, so that is me killing the first one. Here, let's take a look at the rest now. So this is the second one. It's right. Also, keep in mind where they are. The first one was right as you entered that first room, and that's an area a lot of people try to skip to. And again, they have true sights. So yeah, technically you can continue to skip there, but you will aggro that mob coming out. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so this one is Sogadon the Breaker. He's got a really interesting animation when you fight him. His aura is making you take 50% more physical damage, and that is very noticeable in this guy. I'm going to hit quite hard. His abilities are that massive smash. It somehow knocks you back even if you're not in it. And then Lumbering Might, which does 50% move speed reduction, but 200% physical damage. And I think it was actually dispellable. Let's check real quick. I think I saw a magic thing there. But anyway, no, not dispellable. So anyway, that's on him. So you're going to need a kite there, I guess. And he does a lot of damage. And yeah, he doesn't mess around when he's got that buff on you. So not much going on. Just make sure you're dodging that and be ready to kite. And obviously, you know, the rest is history. We'll see what this affix looks like in a full group. But for me, soloing it, it was extremely straightforward to kill that guy. So anyway, we have the second Anima Power. And again, apparently not random. So we now have Dripping Fang gain 25% leech while health is below 25%. It's pretty interesting. Magic damage taken is reduced by 15%. So that's appealing. But we have shields you for 20% of your maximum health. And this absorb refreshes every 30 seconds. Yet another slam dunk. How do you not take that? I mean, the other two are solid. They're much more competitive, it feels like. But yeah, if this is always what we're going to have, I can't imagine I'm going to take anything but the Stone Ward. The question is, what order are we going to fight these guys in? So I did test that as well in this dungeon, and it was the same order twice. I did 2 keys, same thing. So I'm not, obviously it's not 100% guaranteed, but I do not think it's random. It could be like it was in BFA where it changes based on the week, which is definitely possible, but you don't have the access to test that right now, of course. But yeah, we'll eventually do, I would like to do, the next video I do on this topic would be me showing every single location. That will require a much more considered effort. But anyway, I just wanted to show another thing. I have a kill of this mob. I've got to skip this part of the dungeon, so I kill this mob, 33%, and that's on a single mob that time, so pretty much the same damage breakdown. And there is the healing. So you see Stone Ward 16.5%. That's ridiculous, okay? And I also have 2 other things you might notice there. Accretion. This is actually a gem, one of the new gems or whatever they're. I don't actually know. I haven't really looked too much into the system, but it's something that you're going to be able to get from the raid, I believe. That's pretty damn good. Okay, it's a shield. I think it's just another random shield. And then I also have Waking Dreams, which is the new Dreamweaver final point trait. So between all 3 of those things, that is almost a 30%. It is over 30% healing buff from last season. So okay, so anyway, let's move on. We have to kill a couple mobs here, obviously, but that was where the second one is. So right by the plague boars, you can use the plague boars to kill these, as you will see coming up here in the next bit of footage. So anyway, we have the third guy here, and this is, make sure we get the names right, this is Incinerator Arch, and as you're going to see, I'm going to get a plague boar here. But Incinerator Arch. So again, he has a damage over time aura, which is fire damage. He does a debuff, dispellable magic debuff that increases fire damage taken. And as you see, Plague Boar is still doing damage to the mini boss. And he also has that Scorching Blast, a void zone that leaves a patch of fire on the floor. And it stays, from what I could tell, for 3 casts of it. By the time the third one ends, the first one is gone or something like that. You know what I mean? Like the third one has happened, the first one is gone. So yeah, that is going to be interesting, because if you think of a dungeon like Sanguine Depths, this guy might be very difficult, very little area to fight. But you see there's 3 down, so now the 4th one comes and the first one disappears. You see how that works. So pretty good, straightforward, killing them wise. I have not properly seen if they scale health wise or damage wise. This is a 2 with just this affix, in case you're under. Yeah, this is very easy to do on the PTR. You just make a key yourself, so I was able to come in here. But I am also scaled to 170, so it was quite difficult. But yeah, I guess it would be relatively easy to test to see if their health scales. Obviously, I would expect that to happen. A lot of people were critical of Prideful, saying their scaling should have either stopped or should have been less severe. And I could see this being an issue, because these guys are not the, you know, there's a lot of mechanics going on at times. And I imagine with 5 people, it might be harder. So, but anyway, we get our Third dude killed, and again, he's right at the precipice where we head to the second half of the dungeon here. So you will not be skipping this guy, right? Like almost assuredly. I don't know how you would. So let's see what we get this time. There's an interesting slew of them as well. And again, apparently not random. So we have the 5th skull while in combat. If there's 5 or more enemies within 10 yards, the skull releases a wave of shadow, inflicting 1.7k shadow damage every 5 seconds to up to 5 enemies. That's very interesting. Your versatility is increased by 3%. Crumbling bulwark. Upon entering combat, your damage taken is reduced by 40% for 3 seconds. They are literally making these for Blood DK, I feel like. But then we have Champion's Brand again. So that's not necessarily sure what's going on there. That's the same one we've already seen on the first one that we killed. So I don't know what to expect there, if that's intentional or not. But I take Crumbling Bulwark here because, of course, I do. 40% damage reduction for 3 seconds is everything Blood DK's ever wanted. And that is, it's only 3% Versa, so it's not a very good one overall. I probably should have taken the 5th skull and tested it, but I didn't do that. And I'd imagine that is a lot of damage every 5 seconds, up to 5 enemies. Sounds like that would be very good, and I would have liked to see that too, but we didn't do that. So anyway, yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, the fact that this is almost towards the end of the dungeon, I guess it's not really. The question is there going to be one, like, where's the pacing of them going to be? And I'm going to show you something in Theater of Pain before we end the video here. So anyway, we pull all these, skip all this. You could literally skip almost all of this dungeon. That's why I have done 17% count, and I am now on my way to the 3rd boss's area. So that's pretty cool. And here is Aura's Cold Heart, and his ability is a movement speed, 50% movement speed reduction. And he's got 2 abilities there. Biting Cold. This is a basically a AoE around you. I thought it was around me. Oh, it's on my pet. Yeah, he put it on my pet right now. That's funny. So I guess it puts it on a random player. And then summons Plague Rocks. No, I don't know where those guys are coming from. But anyway, he does that Frost Lance, which is actually a big knockback. I get hit by it coming up here. But realistically, this is probably the easiest of the 2. The only thing is, I guess if you're ranged, you really need to make sure you're dodging. And you can't really stack, because if you do, you're probably going to get hit by that. So 50% movement speed is obviously it's difficult, but people will probably have no problem with it. Let's see if I can see myself getting hit by that knockback. I was watching the Yankees game, and I just didn't even notice. It's the only reason I even know it's a knockback, but yeah, there it is there. You see, big knockback. So if you get hit by that Frost Lance, you get knocked back. And I think I probably got knocked back a lot further, but I get hit into a wall. So this could be a big deal again. These affixes might actually be quite difficult to fight in small spaces. So we have our final one, again, not random. Rude Interruption. Inflict 10% increased damage to targets you successfully interrupt for 5 seconds. Huntsman's Muzzle. When you attack a new creature, they are silenced for 3 seconds. And upon death, grant all allies, this is Pendant of the Martyr, 99% reduced damage taken for 5 seconds. This effect can only occur once every 5 minutes. So I don't really like that one. I really, as you know, I don't really like affixes, or I don't really like any choice at all that makes you have a benefit for death or protects against death. I don't feel like you should ever die in a key, and maybe that's a folly of mine, but I really like the middle one, Huntsman's Muzzle. Attack a new creature there, silence for 3 seconds, because this would be really, 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 really good for the area that we just ran through in Plaguefall, right? If you have ever seen this run, you know I always struggle to get these mobs corralled. The problem is a 3-second silence is not very good. It's not very long term, so I don't know how good that actually will be, but it does sound great. And Rude Interruption might be the play simply because it's offense. So the problem I see immediately is we don't really get a lot of offense. We get one that's bombastically good, and then the other 3 are effectively useless. But it's going to depend a lot on the order. I feel like if you can get that first guy early in every run, it's going to make a big difference. But yeah, so that's all the tank options. Obviously, that's the only thing I'm able to solo anything on. I'm sure other people are covering the other options. But I just wanted to point something out. The locations of these mobs does not, likely not random. But think about this. This is Theater of Pain. You can't really see it too well, I guess, because of the way it's laid out. Let's see if we can't get a better look at it. But they all appear to be right next to each other, or they're all very close to each other. Yeah, so for some reason it doesn't show up. But yeah, we got 3 basically all This one's blocking this guy. This guy is I'm assuming he's where you land when you fall down, and this guy is blocking another of the entrances. So yeah, realistically, you could probably pull all three. I mean, I bet people will do that. I haven't really seen, like I said, most dungeons, but really can't really do this solo on any other dungeon. It would take hours. But I'm very interested in your thoughts on this. I think this is going to be very interesting. And again, if you don't kill them, they give their aura to the boss. The Anima Powers, again, do not seem to be random. Well, actually, so Wowhead has it listed. Let's take one more look at this. Wowhead has it listed that there are Affix-related Anima Powers. And then there are general Anima Powers. It's interesting. I don't fully understand what that means, but this is the one we got. A lot of these, I haven't seen any of these. Oh, wait. There's some Anima Powers that seem related to Mythic plus Affixes. Check out that bolstering one. Enemies that die within 40 yards bolster you, increasing your damage done. Oh, that's very interesting. I wonder if I did a key with bolstering, would that be on the boss somewhere? Very interesting. So let me know what you think. But yeah, obviously, this is a very exciting affix. I think this is going to be very, very interesting. And I think there's one that increases your mana or something like that as well. We were actually talking about this the other day. What does it look like for resto or just shaman or healers in general when you no longer have massive mana regen? But I assume, let's see, mana. Your healing spells have a chance to generate loose mana, which can be collected to restore 10% of your maximum mana. That's the only actual one. So that's pretty damn good, honestly. I don't know where that comes in, but that sounds really good. So I'm very interested in seeing this. Let me know what you think, and I hope to take a moment to test it more in the future. Just got to get a group. Can blow through these all on 2, and we'll get some footage of where all these guys are located if that's your interest. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.